Hello everyone, I'm 𝕊𝕐𝕚𝕟𝕘𝕐 and welcome to Stillwater. Now this is a detective game and he looks like a pretty official detective. He's got bags under his eyes, looks like he hasn't slept in ages. He must be a hard-boiled detective. Let's get started. This is a work of fiction. The resemblance to any real-life people is purely coincidental. This game contains depictions of horror, mature themes, violence, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Caretaker, I'm sorry, but I can't stay here anymore, Nina. I feel like I'm going crazy. Calm down. If we can just talk it out. So many strange things keep happening one after another. Every day there's a damn dripping sound. I thought it was just something leaking at first, but I check every faucet, every ceiling, everything, and still I hear it everywhere, constantly echoing in my ears. Please, listen to me. Oh, but the water, the damn water. Water? Yes, it's everywhere. Pools of it are all over the house, and every time I try to mop it all up, another will appear. There's no end to it. But it's at night. It's at night when it comes. What are you talking about? I hear someone or something walking around the hallways at night. Maybe it's just my grandfather. No, Nina, it's not him. I thought it was, but it's not. But I've seen it. I've seen that thing. I only glimpsed at it once, but I'm more than certain that thing was not your grandfather. Ever since that night, I would lock my door and pray it would walk past my room. I don't know what's going on, but I swear it just keeps walking, always walking on pools of water. Sometimes I hear them randomly. Their steps are erratic and faint, but I can still hear them. Just a steady pace up and down the halls. But I think recently, it's no longer like that. What do you mean? Every morning I follow to see where the wet footprints lead. It walks towards something more clearly than before. It would walk down the halls, climb the stairs, and turn corners. All of it, I'd follow. Eventually the trail would come to a stop, and it would all stop right before your grandfather's room. His room? If this is some sort of sick joke to scare me away, then please stop. It's not a joke, Nina. I mean it when I said that there's something wicked going on in this house. That can't be true. I know this is a lot, but you have to believe me. I can't stay here any longer. I'm sorry, Nina. It's okay, I understand. Thank you for taking care of my grandfather up until now, and I'm sorry for all the stress it's caused you. I'll be sure to pay you right away as soon as I... Nina, listen to me. I don't know what's happening around here, but... The woman on the phone cautiously looks around, turning her head constantly back and forth, looking over her shoulder to find if any others are listening in. She grips the phone so close to her ear in a vice-like grip before speaking again in a hushed tone. Something terrible is lurking in this house. I don't know what it is, but please, as soon as you get back, take your grandfather and just leave this place. Leave? I can't just leave everything behind. We have nowhere else to go. Please, Nina, this place is not safe. The rumors, they're true. The curse is real. My family is not cursed. But Nina, at this rate, you and your family will... Enough! A pause. Cold and sharp tenseness drains the call as both women, exhausted and stressed beyond their comfort, try to stifle their growing frustration towards one another, neither yielding to the other's thoughts, only leaving anger and hurt to fester through the silence. After what feels like suffocating stillness, Nina finally sighs heavily and responds bluntly to the caretaker. Look, I don't know what you heard or saw, but I can't just leave things like this. Whoever or whatever they are, they will answer to me, and I won't let them have their way. I don't have time wasting my energy on this stupid curse. So if you can't help me, then so be it. I'll find a way. Nina. My grandfather is all I have left. He is all I have left. What is that in the corner? Oh my god. Dinner, 7 a.m. Diner? Diner, not dinner. That would make no sense. Really, really late dinner. Or early, I don't know. Amid a foggy morning, there sits a man by the corner of a booth. He drinks black coffee and, depending on his mood, occasionally orders a donut. And today it was just black coffee. Must be a serious mood. Ugh. I swear, I've never seen that amount of paperwork in my life. A freaking mountain worth of it. You're a valuable member of our team, Hugo. My foot. I'm starting to believe that I was bamboozled into joining their agency. Hugo Laurent, age 30, takes a good look at his cup of joe and chugs it all in one sitting. He then continues to grumble to himself about last night's grueling work at the office. I really need to find a different job. As he contemplates his poor life choices, he looks towards the early mist. There was something inherently terrifying about the fog to him, how it engulfs everything and nothing. Even if it disappears, it always leaves behind traces, proof of it remaining. Even in a quaint little town like this, I can't even run from my fate, I guess. Hugo finally stares at the compiled newspaper clippings he put together. Some of them from recent events, but mainly all were past headlines of a missing persons case. No matter how many times I see this, it's still just as hard to look at it. Fixating case after case, he can't help but remind himself that there is a reason for all this. An all too personal reason. Seeing strange things comes with a price. In the end, I'm the one doing this to myself. Sounds rough. Mind if I join? Kuya? Kuya. What? Kuya? An annoyingly familiar voice interrupts his train of thought. He slowly looks up to see the one responsible, although reluctantly. Good morning, Hugo. Hugo scowls and turns away from him. He then gathers the files and shoves it back into the binder. Meanwhile, the tall man takes this as an initiative and sits at the opposite end of the booth. He greets the waitress passing by and orders himself the hefty body breakfast special with an extra plate. As usual, the waitress is happy to oblige and goes back to the counter to relay his order. The man then looks back at Hugo. He sees the empty cup and the now jumbled newspaper clippings, all the while Hugo is trying to ignore him. You really should eat something with that black coffee. Not ordering any donuts today? I'm fine, Noah. I'm just not in the mood, okay? Not even a little? There's a momentary silence between them before Noah disturbs it once more. Well, too bad for you. I ordered a big breakfast for the two of us. Two? As if the world could grace Noah with an even more perfect punchline, the food arrives. Why the hell did you order for the two of us? Just eat what you want. Don't worry about me. Wow, 𝕤𝕠𝕚𝕟𝕘𝕤, right? Right, Hugo? I feel like I butchered that. Are you listening? Are you even listening to me? Come on, we both know that if you don't eat now, who knows when you'll eat when who knows when you will, and I'm not about to let you faint again. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time reading this because the letters are so thin, and I have trouble with light words on darker backgrounds. Like, it looks blurry. I think my eyes are weird. So open wide. Noah de Leon, age 27, a natural-born charmer, is also the only person in the world who lovingly threatens him to eat every day. With a pensive look, Hugo finally gives in and eats a generous spoonful without further complaints. It's good. Right? Good food will always help cheer you up. Damn him, I got swept away again. Oh, by the way, the chief will be out for a business trip. She mentioned it will be for a couple of days. When did she tell you this? I didn't hear anything about it. Yesterday, I think? Yesterday? She told me to sort out the cabinets yesterday. She didn't mention anything about a business trip. I guess it was a pretty sudden one. Well, I mean, she did tell me to tell you. And lucky me, I know where you go every morning. You know what? I'm not surprised anymore. Well, what do you want to do? We technically have the day off. I'm gonna head back to the office. There's a couple of boxes I didn't get a chance to sort out. In that case, I'll come with you. Why? You could just rest for the day. And pass up this opportunity to get to know you better, Kuya? Quit it. After their enlightening banter, the two of them finish their breakfast, pay for their meals, and head to Hugo's car. As Noah opens the door to the passenger seat, he notices a bloodhound sleeping inside. Oh, he's got such big, like, skin flaps he can't see. The big dog stirs at the sound of the car opening and lazily stares at Noah. I'm sorry, big guy. He then closes the door while trying not to make too much noise to disturb its occupant. Colby? At the sound of his name, his heavy-lidded eyes slowly peek to see who calls for him. It is his one and only partner, his human. As if he finally realizing who he is or where he is, the old bloodhound stirs up from his sleep, pounces at Hugo, and proceeds to wag his tail uncontrollably. Bark! Good morning, Colby. Had a nice nap? Colby, 8 years old, Hugo's most faithful and loving partner in crime, has the biggest tendency to just sleep all over the place. Noah, who's witnessing all this from the back seat, chuckles to himself. He's amazed and slightly defeated at Hugo's sudden surge of energy. Doesn't matter how many times I try. When it comes to boosting up his mood, nobody can beat Colby. He's adorable. Agency, 7:50 a.m. The three head back to the office. The space is just the same as Hugo left it. A decent, organized mess. To his credit for the amount of boxes he painstakingly went through, he believes he did a fair job. Albeit it could have been better. Wow, you really outdid yourself, Hugo. It looks less crowded. Ah, shut it, will you? I said I was going to get to it. Thanks, boy. Before Hugo could continue to give deserved head pats, he notices someone. A woman standing timidly peering outside from the storefront. She looks a bit frantic and even more restless when her disheveled and ill-fitted clothes draw emphasis to her already too visible petite frame. The woman tries to grasp the door handle several times, but stops before she could touch it. Her brows furrow, agitated and distressed about something. So much to the point it is preventing her from just simply reaching out for help. However, when she finally makes eye contact with Hugo, she immediately rushes in. I'm so sorry. I know that the close sign is up, but I saw you come in and Are you alright, miss? I need your help. My grandfather, Before she can continue explaining, Noah swiftly cuts in front of Hugo and intervenes, in an all too practiced manner. It's okay, miss. We'll hear what you have to say. So please, why don't you sit right over there? Noah gestures to one of the empty seats on the other side of the office. The poor woman hesitates for a moment. She clutches desperately to the strap of her purse, her eyes focusing apprehensively on them and at the gestured seat. Is there anything I can do about the text? No. Oh, open dyslexic. Maybe that's what I need. Actually, let me try. Can I switch this to something else? Let's try Deja Vu Sans. Let's see what that does. Oh, that's a lot better. After mulling over Noah's offer, she quickly glances back and nods. The woman then walks towards the corner of the room and sits at the edge of the sofa. Her posture is wary and tense, giving no sign of comfort for even this brief moment of peace. Maybe I should try the dyslexic option. Let me see. I want to know. Maybe that's my problem. Let's see. I'm curious of what this does, because it's all fat at the bottom. Can you start off by telling us your name? How do I get rid of the menu? Oops, I wasn't looking. Oh, she didn't answer. It's fine. I apologize for earlier. I'm usually a bit more composed than this, but I guess I'm failing at that too. My name is Nina Mortimer. Hello, Miss Nina. My name is Noah DeLeon. I am one of the assistants here. That big guy next to you is our other lovely assistant, Colby. And the one brooding over there is Private Investigator Hugo Laurent. I'm not brooding, I'm just tired. And our chief is away on business, but I think we can still accommodate you. So, how can we help, Miss Nina? For just a moment, Nina appeared to be a bit more lax, more hopeful, maybe even relieved from this warm welcome. However, she once again tenses up. The guilt and shame come rushing back to her, visible by the creases of her brow as she once again realizes why she is here. I need help watching over my grandfather tonight. Tonight? Yes, I know this is a strange request, but my hands are tied on this. It has to be tonight. I'm sorry, Miss Nina, but I don't quite understand. Is your grandfather in any danger? I think someone's trying to take him away. Hmm? Take him? Miss Nina, I think you should contact the police right away. They are far more equipped at handling this kind of situation. No, they're not. I've tried requesting their help, but they've given me the same answer verbatim for weeks now. They would send someone to watch over the manor for the entire day, but by the end of their routine, they would always report back nothing unusual. They saw no one else leaving or arriving at the house other than me or the caretaker. But despite telling them all in detail about the letters and all the strange things that have been happening, there's nothing they can do about it, but just sit around until it escalates even more. I can't wait any longer, any more than this, and it'll all be too late. If only I knew who Lewis was. Lewis? She lets out a gasp. Her hands shot out to cover her mouth, realizing she had said too much so carelessly. She tries to avert her gaze, but Hugo stares persistently at her. Miss Nina, who is Louise? Louis? No. Yeah, it's Louis, not Louise. Are they the ones causing all of this? Once more she contemplates. Her brow knits closely together as she bites her lips nervously. It's as if the words she wanted to say have suddenly died out, too heavy to even utter. A mistake she can't take back. Before the silence stretches further, Noah speaks to Nina with a gentle and reassuring tone. Miss Nina, I know it's scary, all the things you've mentioned to us so far. No one should have to experience. Especially by themselves. And I assure you, we'll listen to all of it. I promise. Wild and manic eyes search deeply at them, trying desperately to discern any doubt or mistrust on their faces. However, all she sees are people who are willing to give their time to simply listen to her. To actually help her. From this alone, Nina looks to the side where her purse is and opens it. Tucked inside one of the pockets, she takes out a single, slightly crumpled envelope with a pigmented red wax seal pressed in the middle. At a glance, Hugo can tell right away that this letter appears to be a bit more worn out and antique. And yet, despite its delicate form, it remains well preserved, well kept. It's as if the letter itself was untouched by time, forever waiting to be opened. Grandfather has been receiving cryptic letters for the past month now. The letters didn't come with an address or the name of the sender, but this one, it's different from the rest. This had the name Lewis on it. As she hands over the letter, Hugo notices her hand slightly shaking. Nina's still avoiding his gaze, but he knows she's trying in earnest. But before he could reach out his hand, he senses it. A faint shift in the room, unnoticeable to others, but all too glaringly clear to him. There's something very wrong with this letter. Suddenly, Hugo recoils his hand away in pain. Like being struck with something sharp so spontaneously, so memorable that even if the pain disappears within seconds, a hint of it remains. Something so small akin to a prick from a rose's thorn, or more like a paper cut. Huh? Are you alright? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. No, I'm fine, Miss Mortimer. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Hugo stares squarely at the cut. A red thin line starts to form slowly by the top of his index finger, trailing down and stopping just before the first crease. A red so clearly visible it's taunting. That doesn't look like a normal paper cut to me. Let me get you a band-aid. It's fine, Noah. I don't need one. But really, it's fine. It didn't even hurt that much. Noah takes a good look at him before sighing exasperately and sitting back down in his chair, still eyeing on Hugo's hand. Hugo shrugs and returns his attention back to the letter, but this time, luckily, nothing happens. For to reach all the way here with just a letter alone is truly terrifying. Carefully, he removes the contents of the envelope and then folds it. At first, it looks like any other normal written message. A person named Lewis is asking the other, Henry, to come meet him by the lake at midnight, needing to share something important with him. However, what's eerily striking about this is not the letter itself. Appearing at the bottom of the page, a message scrawled, unlike the rest, stands visibly out to Hugo. A message that shouldn't be there. Remember our promise, Henry. When did you receive this letter? Yesterday. And your grandfather? Where is he right now? He's currently back at the house with the caretaker. I promised him I wouldn't be out for too long. I made an agreement with him, you see. Oh, what sort of agreement? The caretaker we have now agreed to watch over my grandfather, but only during the day. Before nightfall, they would leave exactly at the same time. Before nightfall? I wanted to believe that this whole thing was an elaborate scheme to scare my family away. I know this sounds crazy, but at one point I thought everyone was in on it. The mail carriers, the officers, the caretakers. Everyone had a hand at making our family suffer. But this one is different. She goes from 0 to, like, terrified real fast. Up until now, I've never heard of anyone by that name. Not a relative or a family friend. But they clearly know who grandfather is. If I don't do something about this, I'll lose him too. Just by uttering the words alone, Nina begins to break down. The stress, the anxiety, the fatigue, all of it is finally catching up to her. Her body hunches forward, her hands pressed close to her eyes as she tries to cover the stream of tears running down her face. As an act of comfort, Colby sits closer to Nina while Noah fetches tissues for her. Hugo, on the other hand, is puzzled. She said this whole thing has been going on for the past month, but something doesn't add up. And before nightfall, I think there's more to it than I think there's more to this she's not admitting. Whatever happened with the letter, I'm more than certain. Certain that whoever or whatever Lewis is, they're coming for blood. Okay, well, if we reject it, I'm guessing the game's over real fast, so let's just save here. And then we'll take the case. Do you want more tissues? We'll do it. We'll take on your case. For a moment, everything goes still. Their eyes and attention are solely directed at Hugo, whose eyes have a certain glint to them, now unwavering and more determined than ever. Before anyone else speaks, Nina stands up, wipes away any stray tears she has from her face, and walks up to him. You'll take it? Hugo simply nods. Thank you, thank you. You don't know how much this means to me. We're glad to help, miss. Nina, please just call me Nina. Well, Nina, we'll do our best. Nina smiles at Hugo and Noah in gratitude, her eyes renew with a faint gleam, a hope that maybe things will change for her and her family for the better. However, before heading out, Nina reaches into her bag once more. She takes a small piece of paper and a pen and hastily starts jotting down something. I best be on my way now. I'll let grandfather know ahead of time that you'll be coming. 4970 Church Street. Also, this is my address. I'll be sure to greet you when you all arrive. And thank you again, truly. She politely bows to them and walks out of the office, already reaching into her purse for her car keys. Hugo watches from his desk as she goes to open the driver's seat. Nina looks back at the office window and takes one last look at Hugo. She waves slightly at him before finally pulling out of the parking lot and driving off. Once out of sight, Hugo turns to look at his cluttered desk. Still messy, but presentable. I guess I'll have to sort these out later, again. Car, 5:30 p.m. From the ongoing downpour to the quiet hums of the car, they sit in silence. Still miles off their destination, Hugo constantly checks the rearview mirror to see any passing cars. But it was only them on the road. Noah, who usually chats his ear off by now, leans quietly against the car door as he looks out to the passing streetlights, reserved and distant. He hasn't said a word to Hugo since they left the office. Hey, you're a lot quieter than usual. What's wrong? What a surprise. Have you been looking at me, Kuya? Why does he call him Kuya? What does that mean? No, you idiot. You usually just talk a lot, that's all. So, do you miss me talking? Just say it. Do you believe her story? What? Given all the things she's told us, do you think she's telling the truth? Yes, I believe her, or at least I believe she hasn't lied to us. But you know, I can't shake this feeling she's hiding something. Like if she left out certain details on purpose. Also, why did she have to travel this far out of town for a private eye? Surely there must have been another far closer to her home than ours. I just don't know how to explain it. As expected of you, Hugo. Are you making fun of me? No, not at all. I'm just admiring your observations. I didn't want to offend Nina earlier, so I kept quiet until she finished. But her last name caught me off guard. Have you heard of the Mortimers? They're a pretty distinguished family that owned an esteemed fishing company. Well, they used to, I believe. They have yet to name an heir. What do you mean? Shouldn't it naturally go to Nina? It should, but I don't know. From what I heard, each time they try to name a successor, that relative mysteriously disappears. Gone without a trace, or so anyone thought. Their bodies would soon turn up months after. And you know what's strange? All of them have been labeled as accidents by local news. No foul play, just another unfortunate loss for the family. They've been stuck with so many tragedies that over time, people began to believe that they were cursed or something. Cursed. I think I can understand why she wouldn't go to the police again. They most likely thought she was seeing things and went along with the procedures just to keep face. But deep down, they must have thought she had gone mad. Can't imagine all this for Nina. And most of all, who knows what we'll find there? Is that why you decided to come with me? Well, partially. I'm more worried about you, though. Me? Why? Think of it this way. I'm the appointed driver. When you decide to do some pretty reckless shit, I'll be the one there to drive you to the hospital. Besides, two is better than one. Exactly. I was fine with Colby coming with me. Buddy! Well, have you heard that 3 is better than 2? Ugh. Mortimer Estate, 6 p.m. I mean, it's probably best to always travel with a partner, you know? Just for, like, well, 1, backup, and then 2, to, like, have someone to, like, side with you when you bring out your evidence. Be like, I saw this, and then the other guy can be like, I saw that too. And so, you know, you have, like, a little bit of backup. You're not just relying on one guy's word. Passing through the countless dirt roads and steep cliffs, the estate can finally be seen beyond the evergreen. Nestled away from prying eyes, it stands tall, magnificent, and classic. Truly a rarity only afforded to the privileged. And yet, with all its opulence, it looms from a distance. Hugo and Noah could only gaze at the sheer scale of the manor. Its grand stature topples easily over dozens of houses they drove past. Wow, look at the size of that. I could never imagine seeing a house like this in person. It's almost too surreal. Come on, she's waiting for us. Immediately after exiting the driver's seat, a sudden sharp pain weighs heavily on Hugo's chest. Grasping tightly at his cloak, he begins to gasp for air. His vision hazes as he leans close to the car, trying desperately to ground himself. Like a fish drawn out of the sea, he desperately heaves. The air in his lungs escaping too quickly, he burns as he feels his throat start to strain, drawing tighter the more he breathes. But this pain pales in comparison to the feeling far more excruciating. Is it the house? No, something far more sinister. The lack of sleep is finally catching up with him. He feels that someone is watching him. Piercing gaze fixed on him, like leering at a bug and waiting to strike. We'll be together soon, Henry. What the hell? Damn it, already? I need to hurry up or else... Hey, are you alright? No one calls out to him, snapping him out of his fixated trance. Colby nudges his head against Hugo, whining with concern over his partner's well-being. Did you hear that just now? Hear what? That voice. It was so close to my ear. Is everything alright? Oh, I'm fine. Don't mind me. I'm just a bit winded from the trip, that's all. I'd be happy to make you tea at the very least. If it's no trouble. No, not at all. It's the least I can do. Once again, the subtle uneasiness from Nina surfaces. But before Hugo could get a chance to look further into it, she walked off towards the front porch without saying another word. Are you sure you're alright? You sounded like you were choking earlier. I said I'm fine. Besides, we're already here. We can't look back now. Or wait, what? Back out now? I don't know. Listen to me. I think you should... Noah abruptly cuts his lecture short as he notices Nina stopping by the front door. She stands by the door silently, contemplating something. What are those? Who are those people? It's just like before, but this time she seems even more anxious. Whatever unease she tried to mask earlier became more apparent the minute they walked closer to the front door. I haven't been quite honest with you, Detective. Just like before, as if carefully choosing her next words, she decides that in this situation, words are not enough. You'll see for yourselves what I mean. And with that, Nina enters the house, leaving the three of them to follow behind. Hugo is about to enter through the foyer when he feels a tug on his arm. Don't forget what I told you. If something happens, let me know right away. You'll be the first to know. And with that, Noah releases his grip on Hugo. They proceed to head in, not knowing what awaits them beyond the door. Greeted with a brightly lit hallway, Hugo notices immediately that the interior is just as grand. Adorned with floral accents and antique finishings, the house itself exudes the word elegance. A classic and rustic charm with the walls and floorings made from the finest wood. Hugo couldn't help but gape when he walked in. However, he noticed something even more distinct than the splendor. Behind the seemingly perfect veneer, an unsettling air breathes through the house, leaving no room for doubt that the inside is far more terrifying than the outside. Please come this way. Bracing themselves, they enter the dimly lit drawing room. At first glance, Hugo could not discern the silhouette situated at the far corner. Only the sparse lighting from the window pierces through a fraction of the room's darkness. However, as they approach closer to the silhouette, Hugo now understands the reason for all of Nina's unsettling vagueness. Grandfather, we have guests. Is he alive? Oh, that's not right. Your eyes aren't supposed to glow in the dark. You should get that checked out. This is what happens when you have lead paint everywhere. Sitting on the armchair is a very young man, not much older than Hugo or Noah. That's your grandpa? Damn. He's dressed modestly and shares none of the imposing presence of the manor. No, rather, such luxury does not even remotely reflect on the man who before them all. It's as if the flow of time had stopped only for him, while the rest had continued changing drastically without him. Just like the letter, timeless, delicate, and jarringly out of place. Staring only at the window, the young man sits there dazed with little acknowledgement of the people around him. Still, motionless, like a doll. Grandpa, these are the people I spoke of. This is Detective Laurent and the two assistants, Colby and Noah. They're going to help us. Even after introducing them, the head of the Mortimer estate, Hugo and Noah could not help but feel unnerved. The man before them is supposed to be frail and older than any of them, and yet here he remains, forever unchanging, forever young. They've come a long way, so I'll be making some tea. Would you like some, Grandpa? He does not reply back, nor does he glance at Nina or anyone else in the room. Only fixate his gaze on the rain and nothing else. I'll be sure to make you a cup, too. She then timidly gestures to Hugo and Noah back to the foyer. Bearing more questions, the two follow Nina outside. But before they can leave the drawing room, Hugo takes one last look at the young gentleman. There's an all too familiar air about Henry Mortimer. His eyes, they're similar to his own. Whatever he must be longing for, Hugo knows it will never end well. I mean, they're a little green, but they're not glowing dark green. Nina, that man. Yes, he's my grandfather, the one I asked you to watch over. I know it's hard to believe, but... Nina draws something out of her pocket. It's an old picture of a handsome man with the slicked back hair wearing the finest of suits. The gentleman in the picture has a different air to him, one of wealth and power, none of which reflects at all the current Henry Mortimer. It's almost as if looking at two different people. This isn't much to go by, but believe me, these are the same person. Why does he look so young? It happened a few nights ago. I was on my way back to get a cup of water when I heard a loud thud coming from my grandfather's room. I was worried that something fell over, so I went to go check. When I opened the door, I found him collapsed on the ground. I rushed to help him, but when I did, he looked so different. He wore the same clothes that my grandpa wore that night. And his face, I recognized his face. He looked younger. So many things went rushing through my head at that moment, and yet I knew he felt familiar to me. I know it sounds bizarre the more I talk about it, but that's what happened. That was also the same night I found that letter. It was next to him, already opened. I'm sorry again for all of this. No matter who I went to, they either said something was wrong with me or my family. With everything going on, maybe they're right. The pools of water, the letters, Lewis, and now this. I've been ignoring the signs for years and just blindly hoping things would get better if I tried finding solutions on my own. But that's not enough anymore. Maybe my family is really No, they're not. Curses aren't real. Detective? I think we easily get too involved in believing that sort of thing exists. In truth, the ones who fixate on it make it the reality. Rumors, doubts, lies, all of those things were what they want to become real. What? All those things are what they want to become real. What? Okay, whatever. Deep-rooted emotions like that possibly can't possibly be healed or fixed right away. But like a curse, some emotions drag other people down with them. Personally, I think you were caught up in all of this. But I assure you, we'll see this through. For you and Mr. Mortimer. Thank you. Good. Now, our first priority is to find out more about Lewis. Why are all the pictures in this house covered up? I just noticed that. That's kind of weird, because aren't you guys still living here? It's not like you're moving out. Why would you cover all the pictures? Odd. Nina, the letter you showed us back at the agency, do you have it with you? Ah, yes, it's here. Do you mind if I borrow it for a bit, and I'll be sure to give it back? Of course, but what are you going to do with it? I've searched everything on that letter, and I still couldn't come up with clues. I'll be using it as a reference or a guide, if you will. I'm afraid I can't discuss too much of the process, trade secret and all. I bet he sees dead people. He seems like he sees dead people and talks to them frequently. Maybe that's why he's so tired looking. Of course. I'll check upstairs. Noah, you and Colby check the ground floor. Got it. Before they leave to do their own investigations, Hugo grabs a hold of Noah's shoulder. He leans in, close enough for Nina not to hear. Keep a close eye on Mr. Mortimer and Nina. Especially Nina. I don't want her to be dragged any more than she already is. So whatever happens, keep her safe. Hugo, you... Fine, but remember, yell for me, okay? I know. Thank you, Noah. I'm counting on you. You too, boy. With a final nod at them, Hugo then goes towards the staircase and heads upstairs. Noah stares for a moment longer at Hugo's back before he disappears into the first floor. Then he turns to look at Colby. Well, it's time we get to work. Right, Colby? I mean... Investigation start. Ooh. The objective is to look around the area for objects to precede the story. Use the arrows or the arrow keys to move to a different area. Outlines will appear on the clickable object. Top right is a hint button. Click it will highlight an object you missed. Cool. I mean, like all the other heirs or whatever have been like mysteriously dying, but Grandpa's getting younger. I'm thinking some youth sapping is going on here. You know? Like, and I think Nina's next. Woof woof. Good boy. Very good. So, I guess I can only click on the highlighted things. Let's look at Grandpa. Mr. Mortimer still sits motionless by the corner of the room, his gaze never leaving the rain. Okay, guess there's not much we can look at there. Nothing? That's odd. Oh. An old rotary dial telephone. It looks like it's still in good use. A delicate arrangement of violets and white roses. They seem to be fresh and fairly new. A large bookshelf stands close to the entranceway. It contains a couple of photo albums and a few phone books. Anything else? There must be something over here that I missed. There we go. Frames decorating the walls are covered in white sheets, veiled with a thin lining of dust on top of each one. Wow, there's so many paintings covering the walls. Are there more like this all over the house? Yes, my grandfather commissioned many back in the day, but sadly he doesn't do that anymore. Nina, I can't help but notice the paintings are covered. How come? I did that. I covered them up for my grandfather's sake. For his sake? Yes, he was pretty obsessed with them, you see. There were times he would mutter to himself and would just stare at the paintings for days on end. It worried me so much that I had to cover them all. Since then, he hasn't stared at any of them. He just sits quietly, looking outside. I see. About the paintings, I also noticed they all have a similar theme. They all had water in them. I know this isn't a coincidence since you've been since you've told us before, but if there's anything you know, anything at all, then please tell me. Now, can I ask you a question first? Sure, go ahead. Do you believe in mermaids? What? Mermaids? I don't suppose I do. Why? Casting her gaze to the floor, Nina anxiously fidgets and tightly clasps her hand together, and then briefly sighs and continues. Well, there's a story, or rather, more like a fairy tale, that my family has passed down. A fairy tale? Yes, well, it feels like one to me. It was about a fisherman who fell in love with a mermaid. This is gonna be the Little Mermaid? Every day and night he would go out to the shore and gaze at her beauty, but one day she vanished, leaving him confused and heartbroken. Determined, he would sail many seas for a chance to see her again. Sailing from coast to coast, new lands beyond and back he would go. Not long after, fortune followed him all throughout his journey and made him one of the wealthiest and most highly respected in his village. However, despite all the wealth he gained through his travels, he never found the mermaid again. She would only be a dream, nothing more. And that's the end of the story. It doesn't end happily, but I guess there was a lesson behind it all. I just never understood it. What do you think happened to the mermaid? I know it's an exaggeration, and yet I can't help but wonder. It's hard to say. I just feel bad for both of them. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan of sad endings. If it were me, I would wish the fisherman and the mermaid could see each other again. Or at least, that's what I think. If they weren't meant to be together? Yeah, I think so at least. I wouldn't want to imagine going through a journey all by myself. It's hard being alone. A journey all by yourself. Mortimer Estate, 11:30. She doesn't want to be alone, perhaps. Maybe Grandpa's not actually here, and we're just kind of humoring her, but no, we definitely saw him, right? After searching vigorously through each of the rooms, he knew his findings would eventually lead him here. This is it. He walked towards the nearest lampshade and switches it on. Oh, Hugo. Dimly illuminated, he sees the extent of how lavish this part of the house is. From the customized window drapes to the vintage furnishings. You just do the other one. I think it's a bit bolder. Come on, switch over. I need extra thick text if you're gonna have everything so dark. Everything here exudes that extravagance. Much like the interior Hugo has seen so far, he finds this one in particular reeks of it. Plastered from wall to wall, a gloom lingers. It's as if the room itself is moldering, despite its preserved nature. I've never heard of the word moldering before. Interesting. Alright, let's look around. What's in the chest? A classic wooden chest lies at the foot of the canopy bed. Its lock still firmly holds, safeguarding whatever is inside. Where's the lock-picking lawyer? Click on 1, click on 2, and it's open. A meticulously organized set of academic books, ranging from nonfiction to geography, are all on display. However, hidden away behind the vast collection are some children's fairy tales, all carefully kept. They like their fairy tales here. Scattered pieces of paper, all forgotten, lie waiting on the cold floor. Heavily etched markings are found scrawled all over the papers. What do they say? A leather-bound journal rests on the edge of the table. Its pages are torn out so haphazardly that the binding itself is starting to fall out. A pristine pearl-white tea set sits patiently by, untouched and unused for quite some time. An old photo of lost time, a sweet summertime memory of a little girl and her beloved grandfather. He's definitely dead, right? Something ain't right here. Atop the fireplace, unblemished and unmarked by time, hangs a curious and familiar painting of a beautiful woman floating on water. I need to hurry. I don't want to stay here for too long. Mortimer Estate, 11:50 p.m. He searches and searches, and still no sign of Lewis. To Hugo, even if there is a fragment, a singular thread to that person, to the real selves, he could find them. But there's nothing. Not one thing pertaining to him. It's as if the thought of Lewis barely exists at all. What is going on? I clearly sensed that presence from before, but it's gone again. Damn it, I wish I had more time. No, calm down. It has to be here. I just need to focus. He ponders again, retracing every step and every little detail, hoping that he overlooked something. Yet all he knows is that the one tangible thing that connects him, that tethers so closely to the space, and most of all to Henry, is the letter. Words of promise, of love, all delicately etched onto a page, but tainted with a powerful and dark emotion that has been festering for too long. Tainted. From the very start of all this, Hugo believes that whoever Lewis was, they were the ones responsible. He thought he could find them and convince them to stop their haunting for good. To bring them peace and to move on. However, that isn't the case anymore. The unnatural force that binds everyone so closely together in this family is not the cause of an angry spirit. No, it's something far more devious than that. As he takes the letter out from the envelope, he notices a change within. Bearing no foreboding threat at the bottom of the page, it looks just like a regular letter, or rather, what it once was. A sad and tragic love. If you can't come, then I understand. Things have gotten more complicated with your mother ever since she found out about us, right? I'm sorry, Henry, for everything. It hurts to see you so torn up like this. I would never hurt you or drag you along with me. If this is to be our farewell, then can I ask you one last favor? Could you keep my locket? I know this is selfish of me, but I'd like for you to have it. I'd be happy to know it's safe with you. My heart will forever be yours, Henry. With love always, Lewis. So this was the true letter. Okay, so Grandpa's probably not dead, he's just gay. A small warmth emanates from the paper, wrapping closely around his fingers, quiet and soothing. The fragment Hugo was searching for. Lewis, I'm sorry. You were also a victim on all of this too. Please, if you can hear me, I need your help. Without warning, the sound of a click can be heard from across the bedroom, as if something unlocked itself. Hugo turns his head towards the sound and sees the chest. Louis? Are you in the chest? Oh my god, unlike the other furniture, its dark and rustic features have not been maintained well. Left to rot on its own. Suddenly, he stops at the sound of a voice, a sweet voice whispering to him, beckoning him towards the fireplace. Come here, my dear sweet boy. Now you see, when it says something like that, that doesn't really sound like it would be Louis. It sounds more like it would be the mom maybe haunting them. You know? Because, like, you wouldn't really call your lover a dear sweet boy, right? Like, that's something a mom would say, right? Do we go near the painting or not? I have a bad feeling about going near the painting. Seems like a bad idea. Let's not go to the painting. No, stay focused, Hugo. I won't let it get to me. Preparing himself, he heads towards the chest and opens it. Inside, scrambled together, are bunches of notebooks and small trinkets. Hugo continues to rummage through when he stumbles across an old newspaper article. Young man found dead by the lake. An unidentified young man was found on the morning of XXXXXX, 3 days prior to his death, according to the police. Ruled as a suicide, police have claimed that the troubled youth drowned himself. This certainly is a tragic loss, an unfortunate event indeed. Comments. No claim of his body has been made yet. Louis. By the corner of Hugo's eye, he spots a bright glint buried beneath the clutter. He reaches for it. A locket. A locket of brilliant gold shines unblemished, retaining a timeless luster. Inside it safeguards a picture of a young man with glasses, smiling brightly. This must be the locket that he was talking about. Oh, this must be why the paintings downstairs, why the grandfather always stares at him. Because Louis died in drowning, right? So he's probably thinking about Louis all the time. It's so pretty. I'm surprised it still shines like this. In this picture. Did he put this here? No, it must have been Henry. But why would he store it away like this? What should I do? Oh, wait, what do you mean by take the locket? Like, take the locket to give it to Louis? Or Henry? Or, yeah, Henry? Or you taking the locket to keep it forever? Because I would like you to give it to him. Let's take it. I should probably hold on to this for now. Take it to him, please. Louis? A gentle but distant plea echoes in Hugo's heart. A forgotten ache of yearning and regret grips him deeply. Feeling not his own start to rise like small ripples on a pond. Oh, feelings not his own start to rise like small ripples on a pond. Wanting to be found again and remembered. Don't worry, I'll bring it to him. I'll make sure of it. Hugo is about to put everything back into the chest when he feels a wet and cold sensation crawling up his leg. What? Water. A pool of water relentlessly spreads across the floor, already seeping into his chest. Damn it, no! Suddenly the lights shut off. A scream is heard, followed by a myriad of shouts. Hugo is about to call out to Noah, but stops at the sight of pale feet before him. What? Looming over him stands a tall and ominous figure. His face is shrouded in complete darkness, devoid of any human emotion. Dude, if you're Louis, I'm trying to help you right now. It appears as a young man, but Hugo knows it's far from it. No, this very thing is trying to imitate a human form. Trying to be human. Hugo could only stare back. Paralyzed with fear, he is forced to watch the horror as it slowly creeps towards him. Just like before, it's a sensation of someone staring at him from within. But this time it's drawing nearer. Inching ever so closely. The words to call out to Colby or Noah fail to reach out. Lodged in his throat, he struggles in pain. With his breathing shallow, he tries to force his body to move. And then it stops. Looking down at Hugo, filled with nothing but malice and contempt, it speaks. Dude, I'm trying to help you. Don't get in my way. All of a sudden, the door to the bedroom slams shut and the entity disappears. The tension from his body finally releases its agonizing grip and he gasps desperately for air. His vision blurs and his breathing is haggard. He staggers towards the door. He yanks at the handle several times, but it's tightly jammed. Fuck! Noah! Colby! To his dismay, he's only greeted with silence at the other end of the door. Damn it! From a distance, he faintly hears the sounds of Colby's relentless barking as it gets further away from the house. Hugo rushes towards the window. He tries to pry it open, but just like the door, a heavy force prevents him from doing so. Like being underwater. His movements are slow and drawn out, as if being dragged down by that thing. Fuck this. Frantically looking around the room, he spots a nearby chair. Without a moment sooner, Hugo grabs the chair and starts to strike the window. Bit by bit, the window cracks get larger with each blow, splitting off smaller pieces. What the hell is this thing made out of? Still trying to catch his breath, he musters all the strength he has left for a final blow. Damn you, just break already! Clearing out the remaining glass shards, Hugo peers his head out to see any railing he can grab hold of. However, he discovers instead that the wall adjacent is covered in ivy. Despite how heavy the rain has drastically become, he reaches out for it, grabbing a handful of vines. Carefully, he climbs out the window, gripping tightly and making sure he does not lose his footing. Yet to his luck, the patch of vines he clutches starts to tear away from the wall. Out of desperation, he struggles to find his grip on another, but fails when his hand slips out of reach. Shit! Ouch! Clamoring wildly as he loses grip on the ivy, he crash lands down onto a thicket of bushes. Well, at least he landed on bushes and not like a pointy fence or something. Air forced out of him, and he heaves uncontrollably, trying to even out his breathing. But even that is laborious, and immense pain spreads across not only his back, but his entire body. God, I'm getting too old for this. Although his body screams out in pain, he forces himself up. There's still time. I can do this. I have to do this. With staggering feet and haggard breathing, he makes his way to the place where it all started. The lake? To the lake, where this tragedy starts and ends. Lake? And we don't know what time it is. Finally entering through the park, Hugo calls out to Colby and Noah. Colby! Noah! Where are you? He hears faintly the sounds of barking and echoes of people yelling in the distance. He rushes towards the echoes, guiding him through the downpour. With his heart racing and blood rushing to his head, he finds his way to the lake. Drawing closer, he sees Nina giving chase to her grandfather. Unfortunately, she doesn't get too far as Noah stops her. Grandpa, stop! Grandpa! Let me go! My grandpa, he's... No, Nina, it's dangerous. You'll get hurt too. I don't care. I don't want to lose anyone anymore. It's at that instant Hugo trudges against the water, pursuing Nina's steed. Hugo? No, don't! Buddy! Please fall deaf to his ears. Not even the whines or worried cries of his partner could make him turn back. Determined, he forges ahead. Nearing the deep end of the lake, he sees Henry Mortimer gazing directly at the abyss. He looks even more frail and disheveled than before. It's as if all the life he's lived up until this point has begun to fray, draining every ounce of himself, and surrendering it all to the lake. Before Henry could lean in, Hugo reaches out and tugs at his arm. Mr. Mortimer, please listen to me. Nothing is waiting for you down there, so please, come back to the shore with me. Motionless and unresponsive, he stares deeply into the water. The haze over his eyes is still obscure and persistent. There's so many things we cannot afford to lose in our lives. And you're one of them. To Nina, you're all she has left. She needs you, Mr. Mortimer. Hugo felt it. A slight jolt from Henry's arm, as if stirred by the mention of Nina. He slowly turns to face Hugo. Nina. However, just as cruel and violent as a storm, Henry jerks back, wrenching his arm away from Hugo's hold on him. No, no, All of this is my fault. If only I got to Louis sooner, then none of this would have happened. He was waiting for me. He was patient with me. And yet, for all the things he's done, I chose my family over him. He's gone because I didn't pick him. Henry backs further away from the shoreline. Mr. Mortimer! His manic eyes never straying away from Hugo as he keeps his distance from him. Louis, I'm sorry. I was the one who dragged you into this. You deserve so much more. And I wished... Henry struggles over his words. He clasps tightly into his shirt, his throat dry and taut from all that he has bottled up, from all the repressed and silent years of just waiting for this curse to finally take him. I wish I had gone with you that night, Louis. Sir, even if you covet that wish, it wouldn't resolve anything. Not for you or Louis. I read what he wrote to you those years ago. He understood if you didn't want to come see him. But the thing is, Mr. Mortimer, Louis never had thought anything less of you. He said so in his letters to you. His letters. The longest time I wanted to believe he hated me for that, resented me for that choice. Or at least, I thought it was easier for me to think that way. How long has it been since I talked about him? It's been too long, sir. But that's why you don't have to shoulder all that pain by yourself anymore. We can talk about it. About you and Louis. All of it, together. Hugo extends not only his hand to him, but a promise. A promise that Henry yearned for so long. A way to forgive himself. He hesitates at first. What fool believes in deserved forgiveness? Such a thing doesn't exist. And yet, despite everything, Hugo still reaches out to him. To a stranger. Maybe he can be forgiven. Just as he was about to reach out for Hugo, a hand slithers across Henry's instead. Ew. Its arms unnaturally contort around him, while its head perches on its shoulder. This thing. This Louis is no longer pretending to be human. With piercing cold green eyes, it glares directly at Hugo, mocking him, cursing him, wishing nothing but despair. We can be saved? We can be forgiven? There's only one true way out of this. I will share with you the most happiest of endings. Before Hugo could reach out for Henry's hand, he disappears into the water. Mr. Mortimer! Without hearing the anguished cries and desperate pleas, Hugo dives after him, into the abyss. Why, Louis? I don't understand. We're trying to help you here. Plunging into icy waters, Hugo feels shock running rampant throughout his body, like spikes continuously piercing his legs to the tips of his fingers, fiercely and unyielding. His chest tightens and his heart races as he begins to kick his legs, hoping whichever way he goes he'll find his way to Henry. Swimming deeper and deeper, and he sees faintly a figure slowly descending into the darkness. As he finally gets closer to Henry, long snake-like arms stretch across the void and grab Hugo's neck, finally squeezing all the air out of him. He tries desperately to wrench its hands away, but with each struggle, Hugo's movements begin to weigh heavier and heavier. Louis! Where are you, Louis? It's looking for Louis? Huh? Digging deep into his coat pocket, he grasps tightly in his hand the locket that Henry kept and had long forgotten, holding it out as it shines ever so brightly in the dark. Ah, there you are. He releases his grip on Hugo and instead reaches out for the locket. Taking this chance, he drops the chain and kicks with all of his might to grab Henry's arm. With his heart and body screaming in pain, he swims desperately to the surface. Almost there. I just have to... As the lights from the surface begin to blur, Hugo makes one last attempt to reach for it. With his limbs worn out and his energy spent, this is all he can do. Before he loses consciousness, he notices a figure swimming towards them, getting closer and closer. And then everything fades to black. Is that Henry's ghost then, looking for Louis? But he's alive, right? Drifting along with what feels like endless sea, Hugo courses through wave after wave, not knowing where he's going or caring for that matter. All he knows is that he's very, very tired. How long has it been since he's had a good night's rest? It's been too long. Maybe I should take that rest now. I like that so much. I agree that you deserve it, but not here. Huh? I'm sorry for startling you. I just want to see you one last time before I go. Louis? You've done so much for me and Henry. I can't thank you enough. No worries. I wanted to thank you too for watching over me. And also, I wanted to apologize for my remarks from before. I really thought that I had things figured out once I found you, but you know how that turned out for me. It's alright, really. After all this time, I didn't think anyone could hear me. Especially Henry. Louis. I was worried about him for a long time. He always wanted to keep me away from his personal struggles. To keep me safe from them. But I was too stubborn for my own good. Honestly, I don't regret it. Any of it. Even if I could no longer reach out to Henry. Fate weaved its thread back to you, our tangent, connecting us once more to this very moment. And for that I am forever grateful to you, Hugo. You're welcome, Louis. From a far off distance, Hugo hears a voice crying out to him, beckoning for him to return. Well, they're waiting for you. I guess they really are, huh? Take care always, Hugo. You too, Louis. Oh, that's nice. Lake. With his eyes closed and his senses still returning, he feels constant tugs and licks of a certain bloodhound, whining as he tries to wake up his partner. Hugo! He also hears another familiar voice, too annoyingly close for comfort. Eyes shot right open, he jerks up. Confused, Hugo looks around before he coughs up the remaining water in his lungs. Are you alright? Noah starts to pack his bag while Kobe continues to whine over Hugo. What happened? Where's Mr. Mortimer? He's safe. So is Nina. They're both okay. The police and the ambulance should be arriving soon. Thank goodness. Isn't there more you have to say to me? Instead of thank goodness? I swear you don't even listen to a damn word I say. I'm sorry, Noah. Exhausted, he lets out a sigh. He then continues to pat Hugo's back aggressively when someone approaches him. Detective Laurent? Oh, Nina. There's someone I want you to meet. Behind her stands an elderly man. Frail in stature, he timidly looks to the side pensively as he ponders to himself. Although his youth has long faded, his eyes are what catches Hugo's attention. They're no longer a piercing, vicious green. Only eyes just like Nina's. Hello, Mr. Mortimer. Detective. I've never got a chance to say goodbye to him. I always thought about it every day. What if Louis lived on in this world? What if he stayed a little longer with me? It's because of that constant mindset I dragged everyone down. And I kept hurting not only me, but Nina especially. I was the one who kept hurting her, the one to blame for all of this. But you, someone that I've never met, still went out of your way to save me. Not knowing my burdens or my faults. Thank you. Hugo reaches out to Henry and smiles brightly at him. It's my pleasure, sir. Nope. But before he lets go, Henry tugs at Hugo's hands one last time. I hope that someday you too will overcome it. Are you in the closet too, Hugo? You got a thing for your partner? I mean, he does seem to care about you quite a lot. Next day, 8 a.m. Come on, you better sort out your feelings before one of you turns into a horrible monster. Well, good morning, Hugo. You're bright and early. Morning. With much fervor and haste, Hugo resumes writing on his notepad. Although by closer inspection, he looks like he's going to combust at any minute. Are you writing up a report? Without looking up, Hugo responds back. Yeah, for the most part. You still need to write yours too. I will. But since I haven't had breakfast yet, and I don't like eating by myself... Ah. Let me guess. 2 is better than 1? Bingo! Wow, Hugo, you're really catching on. I'm so proud of you. Ah, shut it, will you? I swear, if only I hadn't fallen off from that goddamn window, maybe my report would have been shorter. Before Noah could begin Before Noah could begin to cut the bacon, he pauses at the mention of Hugo's report. Oh yeah, by the way, mind telling me what happened to Mortimer's window? I broke it. Well, that's obvious to me. What I don't understand is, why is it broken? You know how much it would cost to repair a window like that? I know, it was really dumb of me. I'm sorry. Besides, I told Mr. Mortimer about it before we left. Honestly, I was expecting an earful from him. And also the bill. And? Surprisingly enough, he said it was okay. Lucky us, right? So what? You just called it a day after all that? Thank you so much, Mr. Mortimer. You broke it, you pay for it. Would you chill? Of course I'll pay for it. But each time I keep insisting, he just shrugged it off. Said that we already went through a lot for him, so this is nothing in comparison. I mean, yeah, we almost, like, died. You know, I feel like that covers the cost of the window. You know what? He's right. After all that we went through, we deserve at least a nap. Before he could walk away, he stops and sees a familiar person walking towards the storefront, carrying something with her. Nina? Good morning, you two. Just barely a foot through the door, and a certain bloodhound stirs up from his resting spot and makes his way towards Nina, tail uncontrollably wagging. Ah, good morning to you too, Colby. Nina scratches behind one of Colby's ears, making his right foot unconsciously move on its own, scratching an invisible but desirable spot for him. Good morning, Miss Nina. Morning. What brings you here this time around? Is everything alright with your grandfather? Yes, he's doing pretty well, actually. Even better than before. We talked so much last night, I hardly slept at all. But honestly, it's been a while since I last spoke to him so freely like that. I hardly felt tired at all. That's wonderful to hear. No, but there's something else I wanted to ask of both of you. To put it bluntly, I need your help. If you two aren't busy, I would like some company eating these. Inside a clear plastic bag are a stack of 2 boxes placed on top of one another. She opens the box on top and reveals a colorful array of neatly decorated donuts all aligned perfectly. No cramped or squished spaces. A work of art in Hugo's eyes. Wow, so pretty. Donuts. They look so delicious. We're more happy to eat these than you, Nina. There he goes again with his donuts. But yes, please join us, Miss Nina. We were about to have our breakfast too. Weren't we, Hugo? Always so brazen in front of others. You do make it exceptionally easy for me. Ugh. You both have such great chemistry with each other. On second thought, I'm way too tired for this. I'm going to have to apologize in advance for this, Nina. But truthfully, I've been running on last night's coffee and I'm about to pass out any minute now. Ah, no worries. Honestly, I think a little break time sounds like what we all need right now. Thanks. Hugo puts down his pen and proceeds to head for the couch. Colby follows after him. Would you like to join us, Miss Nina? I would love to. I guess we save these for later then. Yes, please do. Now come on, it's nap time. Noah sighs heavily before setting down the food on his desk. He then gestures Nina towards the sofa, in which she happily takes his offer and joins them. I'm getting old. I mean, you are old. Shut it. This is really nice. Oh, good boy, Colby. Come here. Nina quietly coos at him and begins to scratch the back of Colby's ears once more. Hugo leans a little closer to Noah, his voice above a whisper, but close enough for Noah to only hear him. You know, I'm glad that you came along yesterday. Oh, what's this? Are you getting chummy with me now? Call it chummy or whatever, but I really mean it. If you hadn't saved us back there... Look, I told you before. I'll be there whenever you get yourself into reckless shit. Besides, didn't you say this was nap time? Get some rest. You deserved it. You too. Calming silence fills the room as they bask into the morning glow. No big parties or celebrations. Just each other's company and sharing this small reward. A small and warm comfort. Good end. Case closed. Hell yeah. Yeah, we did it. That's as good, right? Break room. What's this? No, it's just the music, I think. Cool. Let me check how many endings this has real quick. Bop, 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 beep, boop, bop. 4 endings. Wow. But I do think that we'll cut it here. So that's all for this time. I mean, like I was saying, there are 4 endings to this game, so I don't know. There's 3 ones that you can explore if you want to play the game for yourself. It's on itch.io for free. But I'm fine with this one. It's a good ending. I mean, I do have some unanswered questions, I guess, like why he like physically turned into a younger guy, and that's pretty freaking weird. And then like what happened to the other family members, you know? Because like there were so many like accidents in this family that it started to become a curse, or you know, or at least it seemed like it. And it's like, why did that happen exactly? You know, were they just people that were unfortunately in this house and the ghost decided to take it out on them, or was it like intentional or something, you know? And I'm guessing when we were up in Henry's room, like when we were asked to go to the painting, I'm guessing that was probably his mother that was calling us over there, but I don't know, that'd be weird. But I'm just thinking it was the mother because of like cause she probably didn't approve of their relationship, you know? So maybe she's trying to stop us from getting them together by like distracting us to come over the painting, and then she'd like kill us or something, but I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird at the end, like when we were trying to get Henry out of the water, that like, I guess, I don't know, Henry's other self like kind of tried to stop us for a bit, you know? It's like, dude, we're trying to save you, we're trying to help you. It's like, what's your deal? You like locked us in that room and tried to like, I don't know, like fake drown us in that water room. That, I don't know, it's just like, why man? This is for you. Let us help you, man. But that's all for this one, so let me know what you think of the game down in the comments below. I will see you in the next one. This is Casper Kuma, over and out.